speaking, you know, reality. And that's the thing. It was always, you know, like you said, negative, even down to the frequency that the music was composed of
Yeah.
was a more negative frequency than the what the higher, like there's 432 hertz, 528 hertz.
Yeah.
And I've done some looking into where the music now, the radio waves now are a lower frequency, probably on purpose.
Hmm.
So because they understand
Well, I mean, I don't know if
frequency.
it's on purpose. I think it has to do with the fact that so much of our life force got stuck in those disconnections. I mean, like baby mama, baby daddy, who loves who, this and that, baby mommy, baby daddy. Like there's so many splits and ways that we get to kind of like fragment ourselves, right? So it's almost like the 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 world's doing parts work, right? Like there's a part of us who got that way and used that way to speak about it because it was disconnected, right? It's kind of like
Yeah.
when your kid gets disconnected from your family and they just start to say horrible things about everybody because they're disconnected. They don't even recognize the impact of what they're doing because they feel so fueled by their separation and their righteousness,
Yeah.
right?
It just it's definitely yeah, it's definitely engineered to be that way.
Hmm.
Hip hop was used as a weapon against, I think, the black community in this
Hmm.
society during the time period where they were most broken. So if you look
Hmm.
at the evolution of music, you had disco, you had jazz. At first, you had
Hmm.
jazz, then you had disco. Then you
Mhm.
had alternative music in some type of way, pop culture. And then birth. I don't know. Don't quote me. And then you have hip hop, right? So during that time period between 70s, 90s, as far as what was done being done into the black community, it was disruption.
Hmm.
There
Mhm.
was more chaos, and the family home and system was broken. Exactly, kind of like what you were saying. So the family home and system was broken. So you captured the lyrics and the storytelling of a community at a time where they were being most broken in the 90s, and where there was perpetual like warfare being done onto the black community. So the stories that you can only, or that was extracted, was the ones of the broken home, like you said, the overt masculinity, and of course, as we know, it's not a secret, the black family in the home was broken. There wasn't a lot of fathers in the home.
Hmm.
So when you don't have the proper guidance or the fatherhood or a family in the home, what do you get? You have stories of broken people.
And the
And that's
thing is, when you do parts work, you listen to that part, right? Because like it's still part of us. It's a part saying, this is what it feels like where we are. And granted, we're always dramatizing. We're always a little exaggerated in this human form. We're all little drama queens to some degree, right? But the essence of what they were saying was like, this is what it's like
Mhm.
to be this part and to feel that separate. Like this is the voice of that.
because
And then we all get caught up and just kind of like when women are like, this is what it's like to be screwed by a man. Then a bunch of women are like, yeah, that's what it's like to be screwed by a man. I still survive, like all that kind of shit. It's like we join on those bandwagons.
Mhm. And I think Tupac said it best. Even if you look at the development, at first it was music that was being performed to give a voice to the broken people and to help them rise above what they was going through. Then, like I said, it became, oh, we can
Yeah,
weaponize this
yeah,
against them.
yeah.
So I think Tupac said
Not
it
just
best.
weaponize it, but I would make a shit ton of money in the process
Programming.
too. Let's that's the.
Yeah, make money from it, most definitely. And we still don't even know how the business works. It's the saddest part. But I think
Right.
Tupac said it best. At first, it was like looking at a place and looking at a building, and they have food everywhere. They throwing food around, and you outside, you have nothing to eat. You're gonna go to the door and be like, "Please let me in. Can I get some food?" And you're knocking on the door like, "Can I get some food?" Then you create a song, "Please let me in. Please let me get some food." Then you said, "We're knocking on the door, or we picking a lot coming through. We're picking a lot coming through the door, blasting." You know what I mean? So you get upset. You get upset, and you just can't take it no more. And you start to really speak from a place of trying to make something happen that someone isn't giving you, right? So
But it's a disowned part who's not understanding that you're starting to become corrupt in your moral values, right? You're breaking into someone's house. You're
right.
stealing things, right? Like your moral values are no longer in the unified self. They're in this story that says, nah, I don't have to be any morals because this happened to me. So like, because this happened to me, I'm allowed to steal. I'm allowed to kill. It's like, wait, are you sure? Because
Yeah.
But what if the people in the house don't have morals enough to, you know what I mean? Like they're kind of like,
yeah, no, I know.
they are creating the outside world to, you know, block off people from eating. So
Yeah.
I can understand why they be, you know, like, yo, hey, what about us?
No, I agree. I think it's a really interesting conversation that may need a bigger audience or day, because I don't know if you guys know what IFS is. It's called Internal Family Systems, right? And it's a way of looking at how we all have fragmented parts from different times of our life where life force gets held, and that you're kind of doing the work to become harmonized in your internal family. And then oftentimes whatever is disowned in you plays out in your relationships, right? So when I did my work to resolve some of the traumas that helped me grow, I had to identify that there was this wicked Wanda little girl who took me out of whack and wanted to have fun and didn't care what happened. There was an adolescent named Jack in me who was just so like arrogant to others and just was so insulated. You know what I mean? Wanda wanted to connect. Jack never wanted to connect. And then there was this mother figure in me like Joy, who wanted everything to be the way she thinks it should be. And then there's Madeline going, can we just tell the truth and stop all this shit? But like, I tell you mine because I think of our world in these fragmented parts, right? Because we're a giant human family and we have these fragments now based on painful stories that happen to people that leave people residing in not necessarily being able to be trusted because they learned to do things that wouldn't necessarily be seen as okay in every community. Like I went to Costa Rica and the people there robbed my car. And all my friends, all their things were taken. Like I couldn't believe that I could sit at the beach and somebody would think about robbing my car. But then they told me, the people of Costa Rica, like, yeah, there's a lot of that in Costa Rica. There's a lot of stealing. So I don't know what they're experiencing in their narrative that says when they come here, we're allowed to go in their cars and take their things. But I don't care. I don't think it's ever okay to go in someone's car and take their things.
But like we said, it's a sense of character development. You know, I think when you don't have the tools, you don't have the ability, you don't have the information, like you said, your morals are compromised. So whenever the reason I have this four of hearts up here, is because we're speaking about the Jack of Clubs and the home being broken. And I think in Uranus, that can be a place of trauma and the home being broken. So within that concept, that kind of, you can kind of see how that plays out, as far as the home and family. I also said, or post on Instagram, I posted the Four of Hearts and I said, a home without love isn't a home at all, you know? So if you don't have the foundation and you don't have the, four corners, of that home being well established, the mother, father, child, and discipline and everything else, that what creates a solid foundation, you're going to get disruption. You're going to get values and those things being compromised. But also, what's kind of important to look at, and the reason that we're kind of speaking about this, because I know a lot of people are like, you're just rambling, but the Two of Clubs has the King of Hearts, right? So that is the home, the family, the protector, right? That is the artist, the musician, and so all of these are the concepts also of the Two of Clubs, being the artist, being able to talk, maybe a debate or disagreement, right? Or a conversation about these particular topics and not running from the truth of what's really taking place or what's really happening on any type of social level, right? So these are kind of the essences of the Two of Clubs, of being able to be honest, speaking about character building, self development, right? Making the right decisions. Because also, whenever you're looking at the Two of Clubs, it has the King of Clubs in the Mercury position, as we were kind of speaking about it a little bit earlier.
And they also have the Four of Hearts as their Mars card. So they're very, there's that element of, that there's a lot of passion in that. And I think that's why the Two of Clubs can have that sense of arguing and coming at you in some way, because the King of Hearts supports them. Four of Hearts is Mars. So there's this essence of like, sometimes what can be misconstrued as passion, as anger. And maybe you cry when you're mad because there's so much emotion, or there could have been a lot of releasing in that space this week too, because what crowns it is the Nine of Hearts. So you have to let go of a lot of the emotions that don't serve you. And it can be even an energy of like pouring your heart out, and releasing all this fear and doubt and worry. And, we've kind of talked about how that King energy, you have to kind of strengthen that crown. And they can use their words can be very, very powerful. With that King of Clubs as Mercury, their ability to kind of like use their mind, in a very sometimes combative way, because we know the King energy can be like, this is my way or the highway type stuff, and I don't see it any other way either. I know what I know, and so they have that sense of like, this is just what it's going to be. So it can be combative, but at the same time, they're able to really, take in a lot of information and express it, and again, like that King energy can be it can be intense in how it communicates, but it has to see where am I coming from, the sense. That's why those two energy has that like needing to kind of bounce it off of others and reflect back with others. So if you're getting anger and resentment back, you have to kind of see, what am I putting out? You know what I mean? That's key with that energy.
Yeah, what's the sixes? But then you have the Six of Spades, and the Six of Clubs, right? Yep. So the Six of Spades is their Pluto, right? So, like you said, so that's receiving karma. Anything you put out, you're going to receive it right back. So if someone's coming to you with a negative attitude or a bad attitude, right, you're going to receive your karma based upon your reaction of how you speak with them and how you talk to them, so you don't want to meet no one in that negative energy, because you're just going to receive that same type of karma. So Six of Clubs is being aware of what you say and how you say it. The Ace of Spades and Two of Clubs, as I kind of came in earlier, I was laughing. I think I'd be like, I have to tell y'all what I'll be speaking, thinking about. The reason I was laughing, because I was speaking about the fear of something, right? And watching my mouth about saying good morning, because a lot of times we think of morning as the dead or something that is negative. So being aware and conscious of your words and how you use your words is like the Six of Clubs and Six of Spades. Your words and your action are going to be a reflection of who you are and what you do and actions that you take later on, right? So that fear, the Two of Clubs and Ace of Spades is one of those cards that you should never say the word death or someone's going to die, right? So that you shouldn't say those words. So taking responsibility of your words and what you say, is immediate karma, for that Two of Clubs.
Yeah. And I can appreciate what you're saying about our focus. And you've brought this up a couple of times in sideways ways. Like you said, we're just rambling. By no means is this rambling. This is the card table. Like, we're playing cards and talking about what we're seeing in the cards. And I can say from my experience, and granted, if I sound defensive, I don't mean to be. I mean to be empowering to the clarity that comes from shared wisdoms and people coming together that way. Because it's really the only way I've grown smarter. If I just thought what I thought all the time, God only knows what kind of monster I would be. Right. So it's so important to be able to hear perspective. And I think that's interesting, that good morning thing. I struggle with that often because it's a regular thing to say, buenos dias or good morning, that kind of stuff. And right now, so many of the people I know in the new age or metaphysical, whatever we're calling them now, are doing grieving ceremonies, because there are ways that we need to grieve the parts of us that we thought were so true. Like, there's no way, we've said it before, that we all know we can lie to ourselves and be so convinced of things, because that fragmented self sees it in a certain way and then finds people to believe it with them, and it grows very alive inside of us. That doesn't necessarily mean it is all of us. It's a part of us, right? And I don't know why I'm so strong into these parts right now. I guess in this ecosystems all coming together, it occurs to me that the more I learn about the cards, every human is on a course to find their purpose and their expression of what their gifts are in a frequency that feels alive. Yet we're all connected, right? And we all are held by certain real things that happen to us.
Yeah.
Do you know, that feel like more bigger than anything else? Go ahead, Rashad.
Yeah, I'm gonna just play this clip because that's kind of directly as what I was speaking about earlier. So can I?
We're playing clips now. We're so cool.
Let me see if I can share the screen and play it as well.
So if we go away, y'all, it's Rashad's fault.
Remember, Rashad is a magical man, and sometimes things in magic take time.
Nah, that's a fact. I see you're wrong. That's it.
So everything really just keeps proving.
All right.
What's really cool is all principles are microcosms of each other. So everything really just keeps proving everything else, because truth is simple. It's lies that are complicated. And so if you learn to look for lessons in everything, sometimes you might just find them.
Let's say it one more time.
What's really cool is all principles are microcosms of each other. So everything really just keeps proving everything else, because truth is simple. It's lies that are complicated. And so if you learn to look for lessons in everything, sometimes you might just find them.
Yeah, so thank you for Artemis. Yes, his name is Myron Golden.
Beautiful. Great beard.
Yeah, so like you said, all truths are just or principles are microcosms of each other, you know. So they're always just proving themselves to be true. And I think that is the basis of the cards in itself. I was like, that should be the tagline for the show. That should be the intro every time. Because as you were saying, like Donna was saying as well, right? These are paths, you know, rather where your path is.
52 paths to destiny, right? Like, so 52 different ways to find your path of gold, or your path of your alignment, you know, however you want to play it. But right. I love what you shared, Rashad.
Yeah, and I think that it relates to the card and why we're here. And just every person is living their truth where they are at that moment. And their truth may come with trials, triumphs, you know, but wherever that is, it is a microcosm of someone else's life as well. Your mother, your father, you know, in relationship to you. So they are a part of that and a part of that story, you know, and a part of that growth. And someone had spoke to me last night. They were saying, I know that right now I'm on the timeline of your life doesn't mean such and such, right? But I had to think about that. I was like, you're on the timeline of my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Mm-hmm. Like, so you're a part of my life and a part of my story, you know, and my growth and development throughout this life, and that can't be taken, you know. That's very real, and it's happening to all of us every day for better.
It's alchemy. It's alchemy, the way we affect each other in relationships, right? Because we polish each other, we wake each other up to parts, we reveal things. Like the people that I've had in my life, you know, there's been sections of time where people were so close to me for certain things, and they were obviously in my spread or in my timeline at that time. And like, boy, I really got the doses I needed sometimes from certain people. And there was things that I couldn't see. And only in that relationship could I perceive it differently. Like, I remember a couple of my really good friends, like, Maddie, like, you can't do that anymore. Like, I'm not going to talk to you if you do that. Like, you know, like, not knowing how much I was making it about me or dominating because of my insecurities. And thankfully, their friendships and their trust helped me really think about stuff that I may not have thought about, right? I mean, I'm a king of hearts, king of diamonds, whatever. I'm doing what I want, yada, yada. But I love my friends so much. And they were like, yo, can you imagine, like, this is me at 60. Can you imagine what a fucking pain in the ass I was in my 30s? Like, I was having like inner child groups in my living room, and we have to figure this out, and we have to do this, and making your own little self of a doll. Like, I was crazy, you know? I was like trying to make everybody better because I felt so not okay. And I was entertaining, but if you're with me all the time, I was like, yo, calm the fuck down, like, easy. And I didn't even know that I was doing that until my relationships helped me understand how to harness that part of me. Left to my own devices, who knows, right? So those relationships, those timeline relationships, thank you, every single one of you who did your time in the ring with me. You learned something too.
But at least, you know, and I think that's like the accountability that comes when you start to see like, oh, like, because it start with that. That's one thing about these cards and all this stuff that it shows us is it's you. And you start to like really like look at yourself and the role that you play in these relationships. And again, a lot of the relationships are not by accident. They are a lesson. And if we go back just to the Two of Clubs that we've been talking about, the Six of Spades and Pluto, right? Sixes are your lessons. Sixes are your debts. Sixes are timing. Sixes are your purpose. Sixes are fate. The Six of Spades is the most powerful card of fate, destiny. So your relationships aren't an accident. They're not they're really, so you do learn, and it transforms into the King of Spades. So what is it? Again, who are you? Right? Inside relationships, outside relationships, because either way, it is a reflection, and it is an energy that you have attracted to teach probably you something that you couldn't see on your own, because until you do relate with others, right? And I think I just had this conversation in the workshop yesterday, because a lot of us will, you know, distant. I know for me, I've spent a lot of time like just really within, but I remember Vontae telling us, like, you can't just lock yourself away forever. How are you going to learn if you've learned anything? How are you going to know if you've done any work until you start having to deal with people in business, friendships, intimacy, family, everything. And so it is those relationships that may show it's why they're mirrors. And again, that Six of Spades being in Pluto for the Two of Clubs is a very strong reflection. But at the same time, you know, you can't, like, you know, I can look at my past relationships and I see where I've allowed, you know, certain things to happen because I didn't, you know, believe in myself, love myself enough to say, you know what, this isn't good for me, you know. And that's where that King of Hearts, I think, comes into play. It supports you. You have to have that like emotional maturity, that confidence. You have to stand strong on how you feel, because you can allow other people's feelings, moves, actions dictate what you do if you don't. So, you know,
no, I have a thing with the Ace of Spades. I agree, Gina. I have something with the Ace of Spades energy. And it's been happening for a long time. Now I've gone back and looked at all the cards of the people. I'm like, oh my God, all Ace of Spades. Wow. And what I've come to recognize is because they're so strong and so clear, and I like to give people room to bloom, they're also very dominating of what's going on, and they don't really work well with me. And it's really hard for me to get them to work for me because I want to allow everybody to be what they're going to be. So lo and behold, thinking I'm out of the woods, I end up having to share my office. It just started with someone who's an Ace of Spades. Not only is she an Ace of Spades, she's a very different from me Ace of Spades. You know
When's
what
her
I
birthday?
mean? Like, when is her birthday? I believe it's January.
I knew it.
Yeah, I think it's January. Fuck you, Gina. So, but and they've come in, the January and February ones. They're always January and February ones, quite honestly. And they attract to me because, you know, I'm like a little oracle. I'm smart. I say a lot of stuff, but they have no interest in really connecting to me. They have interest in taking what I have and using it for them.
Aren't you their? You're their reward card, if I remember.
So,
hold on. Yeah, you're
so
the reward card to
and
the
they
Ace of
may
Spades, by
not
the
be
way.
doing that. That may be me not making lines. So here I am making an office, but I didn't decorate it because I'm going slow in this whole part-time thing, and I know what the energy of my stuff, and I know what I come in with. So I'm being like a little careful. Well, she came in and she wants to change the colors and this and that. And I guess I feel so conscious that she may hear, but even so, she's into aliens, right? And so, like, you all know that as much as I recognize that could be, it's not where I put my thoughts and my energy. But she's decorating her office with like giant alien pictures all over. And I'm like, wow, look at what the Ace of Spades is bringing me, aliens now.
I wonder if she's the Aquarius Ace of Spades.
Maybe she is. Maybe I got it wrong. But I mean, it's just so interesting because I feel the same classroom over and over. I'm like, what is it? Because I'm going to transform it to Ace, right? It's like, what is the Ace of Spades and me? So if I'm your reward, then that means I'm like a classroom for your growth, right? And they did all benefit. Like, I did not see anybody go downward after being with me, but I never really felt met by the relationship or back and forth in the relationship. I always felt more like they were kind of like taking me on a ride and I was trying to make them comfortable. But again, that could be my stuff. But all I'm saying, I tell the story because if you notice, you may have same card energies that continue to try to teach you things.
Always. You will definitely bring the same.
That's really what I mean to say. I don't mean to go down the think about my life pipe.
Well, you'll start to connect the people. You'll start to see, like, I've had a lot of King of Diamonds people in my life. Okay. I get now why. I've also had 9 of Clubs, and my Mercury, my Saturn cards, you start to see that there's certain cards that 8 of Clubs, because I'm the Jack of Hearts, I dealt with a lot of 8 of Club energy too. So you start to see, and you realize, oh, this is my Mercury card. This is my Saturn card. What am I learning from this energy, right? Because I think that's really what it is. Even in your yearly spread, you'll meet someone, and if you get their birthday, you're like, yep, they're there. It wasn't by accident. Even if it's just a short encounter, what was this energy here to teach me? What was this energy? So you really, even if the person goes away, or it doesn't, that their time and that it was just in that moment to show you something, teach you something, and like I said, you can always learn. It's a classroom, and you're always able to learn a new lesson and a new bit of information, and you can take that with you. And especially if the energy, like, oh, I met this this person, and what was it, even just last year I had a few different energies come in, and I'm like, and you see it in your spread and you get all excited, but then when something else plays out and you're like, oh, okay, I understand why that had to play out that way. And then there really is, I feel, more peace and not lost and like, why, and questioning it. No, I get, what I mean? You actually allow it rather than fight it or try to figure it out, because you can get a little obsessed with that. Like, what is the purpose of all this? And next thing you know.
Oh, yeah, totally.
That's why I challenge.
Sorry, just because I want to know, and then I promise I'll pass back. What would it mean to you guys for me to be a reward to a card? Like, what would be my best response to be the reward to a card? Because I'm teaching an ace, a 1, to think or live more in the consciousness of a king, right?
Yes, as far as the in essence, but what is your kinginess, or what is the lesson that, like Gina said, that you're bringing to them, right? So it could be different in itself, but the king itself, the King of Diamonds, what it is a master of finance, trade, values, so knowing your value and being able to create from that creative energy, wherever that may be, so they can be into like shipping, trade, agriculture, shipping of products, also. So distribution. I was just speaking about that particular thing. Something happened on the King of Diamonds Day. I think she's here, that we're speaking about around the King of Diamonds. So that reward of you for her would be, I have these materials, these goods, or maybe even a teacher, here, or a person maybe here at my aid, or I feel good, or these things make me feel good when I'm able to tap into that creative energy and make money from my art or my talent or whatever that may be as an ace of spade, whatever they're here to do and bring to this particular life, right? So creating value around themselves, they're able to do that or maximize that working through their Pluto card, which is the King of Hearts, So it's like I was exactly like you said, showing up to a house that has been built and you have all these tools or they're able to use all these tools to master their self or show how they're talented or use their self in a purposeful way, right? So that is kind of like how I see that reward.
It's maturity, I feel, for the ace of spades, having the King of Hearts and a King of Diamonds Pluto reward. It's maturity, it's confidence in their self, right? Because they are the most powerful card of self, the ace of spades, right? The most powerful ace in the deck. So they have to go forward. They cannot lack confidence because then that's when they can really get into situations that may not be good for them, right? So that King of Diamonds and that King of Hearts being there, there's a sense of maturity, confidence, like knowing and standing on there like this. I believe in this. I am confident in this, and I think there's that element that kings bring of having that confidence, of having that wisdom that comes with wearing that crown. So for the ace of spades, they have to have that confidence and that maturity in their beliefs and how they see things. But that King of Diamonds being a one-eyed king, because sometimes the ace, there's so much about them that it's hard to see the others, right? Or the options, the other things that can open up.
That's the mirror, Gina. That's the mirror, because as long as that was great. I got it. Because as long as I am inadequate or insecure, I don't recognize the value I have in my authenticity, my clarity, my values, the way I do things, right? Because I'm not thinking of myself that way. But they're seeing me going, this girl's got it going on. She doesn't know she's got it going on, but she's got it going on. I'm going to go learn some stuff from that and go see what I can do with what she knows that I don't know or that I didn't realize yet because she's older. They're always younger than me, a lot younger. And I want to get into that, but I don't necessarily leave my aceness for it, right? And so I honestly have never really felt as inclined to get close to them, but I, as much as I get close to everything, but I would definitely spend enough time with them that I would really be enamored by their strength of being in where they say they're going to be and doing what they're going to do. Like they weren't as distracted as me sometimes. Do you know what I mean? So they would kind of harness focus and that would serve me. But I can appreciate what you're both saying. You're suggesting that there's a maturing that happens and there's also a classroom that happens that allows people to see things differently. And if you're in each other's spreads in the way I'm in the Ace of Hearts, Ace of Spades spread, those relationships will persist. So there's not necessarily something I have to do different other than continue to also mature in the way that's going to continue to show up in my spread and how I'm going to handle it. So like my boss said to me as he walked past my office, he says, remember, that's your office. So let it stay your office. She's in there, because I was already just like, oh yeah, go ahead. But then I'm like, boy, what's that going to be like? I've never even think to look at an alien picture. That's kind of weird. But it opened me up to a realization that a lot of people are in that thought process and that may be part of what the next world includes, so it's like a blind spot issue, like you say, like something that the King of Diamonds doesn't think about much.
Yeah. And also,
go ahead.
I want to say again, I challenge people to, as we kind of say, the random conversations for like Myron said, I challenge you to find the truth in the conversation as we speak here too, as well. Because I do try to be cognitive of every second time and every word, almost too much that I may even get lost into the conversation. What was really being said? But the part about the aliens and the makeup and those things, right? That is the Two of Clubs as well. They will go off into the deep end of mystery, of aliens, of space, and those conversations also, because it has the Ace of Spades and the Two of Clubs transforms into this King of Spades. So it's like, what is our purpose, and are there any other life forms out there, that's operating also? But yes, we do run into cards all the time. And again, like looking at yourself and analyzing what's taking place and what am I learning from this person or this conversation is the two of clubs, right? So something is being revealed about you and who you are. Also, that's the challenge to the conversation. Spades is challenge to the two of clubs is the ace of spades, you person and your purpose and your personal development, your spiritual value. The ace of spades is very much so purposeful. They always refer to spades as not just workers. They're here for a specific assignment and for a specific purpose, right? So with finding that, you're able to bloom and blossom, as we were talking about the ace of spades, right? And when you're able to show and find your talent and your skill, your service and show other people and be in service, I think is one of those things that gets spades excited. Like I have a four spades friend. He's a millionaire, very powerful as far as like money influence, but he always speaks about his purpose is to help other people and being in service. It's not really about money. The money facilitates his purpose, and what he's here to do, So that is what comes out of our conversations and speaking to other people and our relationships and the relationships that we create. And I was speaking, and also another thing that I think I said I challenged with, or maybe I challenged with creating those connections and making sure that I'm not resisting the one thing that I also desire is the two of clubs, because they desire a close relationship, but they also can be lonely people in themselves as well, reserved and off to themselves, but they desire a relationship. So are you resisting expressing yourself and expressing those emotions or creating those meaningful moments and those bonds with people and being your authentic self, So are they, or could you be denying the one thing that could actually maybe open yourself up and bring more purpose is by creating relationships and discovering something deep within inside yourself that you may not be able to without those connections. And again, the king of clubs, jack of diamonds, is also the authoritarian or the authority of your life, or someone grooming you. We're talking about grooming or teaching you. You're being able to kind of sit in that classroom and learn from someone of higher wisdom or knowledge, a teacher of some type as well, coming out of this particular moment or conversation. So being able to go to people that know more than you and sit down and listen, or maybe even someone that's younger than you can teach you a lesson as well. I had a great,
totally.
mhm.
Even in the whole random thing, like, look, it's the king of hearts that supports the two of clubs and the ace of spades, the challenges. And then we end up talking about the ace of spades and the challenge it is to share what you need to share. Like, because that two is in it to win it, wants to connect, but that ace is saying, what about me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the two of clubs, the cosmic lesson, right, is that the 10 of clubs. So they make great counselors, coaches, teachers, and they're going to, what I love about the two of clubs, you go to them with something, they're going to give it to you, they're not gonna, they're going to give it to you as it is. And I appreciate that. They'll give you the truth. That's part of that ace of spades. Like they see it, they can see, I think they help you see it from the point of view. Right. And then that 10 of clubs expands their, that the ability to take all their experience and stuff that they have gone through. And again, they can be very good counselors, friends. They're very friend, they help other people, they help other people see it, open up their mind, that 10 of clubs, the classroom, the teacher, and really being able to, and remember that's one with your higher self. So they can give you a truth that sometimes people aren't even ready for, but that two of clubs will give it to you in a way that you're like, no, I needed to hear it that way. I needed to see it that way so you could appreciate. And it really is just a reflection anyways.
You can't handle the truth.
Right? I knew someone was going to say that.
Hey, hello, Nika, honorary two of clubs, Dr. Stephen Greer. I'll have to look him up. Is there any other details about him that we may need to know in relationship to
That's Nika.
Nika,
She's two of clubs.
Right, that's our honorary two of clubs here.
Mm-hmm.
Building.
You need to bring her up.
I know, right? Maybe.
Well, there must be a way. I've been thinking about that. I think you can send the link to people like privately and they can join, right? Because I've been thinking about that for the family card table and ways to be able to bring people up. I think there is ways. I'm not saying we have to do it right now, but I think that kind of stuff could happen. You guys agree?
No, yeah, for sure. That was one of the things, changes I was going to make. And because I didn't get the response I wanted to, I just transformed it into a Q&A. Throughout the week, I asked, like, is there any questions? But yeah, what's one of the things I wanted to do for those who's listening, and if you do want to come up and speak, opportunity, I did put a text me link up, and you can text me and you can come in. But I'll do this. If you do want to come in, just put one, Nika, if you're available. If you or two, because you're two. if you want to come in or if you want to speak on anything. But we're about 1:30. Let's go through the comments, see if there's any questions. This was a great conversation. All in all, I really appreciate it. It was pretty dope. And as we said, the conversation was always on point. Again, if I challenge you, if you don't see the purpose of the conversation, maybe you don't know the cards. So I would challenge you to go back, study, research, and ask us questions of maybe why that conversation was, or how did it relate to that card. And if you are the card and you don't see it relating to you, remember there are other cards as well, other birthdays who have other planetary rulers. So it may not sit as heavy with you, but it could be somebody else who likes or maybe speaking about that Four of Hearts and being charitable or being able to help other people, being around, being sociable in some type of way, or being a doctor or a therapist, in some type of way. Maybe they resonate with that, and you may be more reserved and maybe shy and maybe don't want to speak your mind. Like I said, that club in the wintertime. I'm not saying the club in the winter, the tree in the wintertime doesn't have any type of purpose or they're not living out their true purpose, but maybe you maybe more chill is playing the background, and may not want to be seen or be on the public atmosphere, be in the public atmosphere, being in the social atmosphere, dealing with people, So you may be more reserved, maybe speaking and talking to people, consulting people on a one-to-one basis and not a one-to-many in some type of way. But which all, I think, I ain't gonna say all clubs or one-to-one, but being on the phone and socializing and speaking with somebody, I can see that two clubs on, like Gina was saying, being a therapist in some type of way.
Me and Nika could talk for hours. Yo, we've been on the phone for like 4 hours. I love it.
Well, that's two. They will find that phone. All right. They are good. That's what I was saying. But some of them, like I said, some of them may not. Like I said, there could be a fear of not speaking as well, right? And I think that's where my ace is based and my two relies. I do seek and I do see the growth and how I light up and how every time I have conversations, like I get it, but it's like I would much rather say to myself sometimes and really think about what I want to say and how I say it, instead of just saying it and being in front of people and expressing it how I'm supposed to. So that is my confession, that I don't use my ace of spades and my two of spades as probably best as I should. I am a lot more reserved. I don't speak my mind. I may not pick up that phone call, even though I got the intuition to do that, So yeah, so I didn't see too much in the comments, but I did get a lot of feedback. I'll go through the feedback though. No questions. No, what you say?
I said, is that avoidance?
It is.
Or is it just a preference? I'm really trying to respect that. I got some 3 of diamonds in my life, and I really want to honor that communication is challenging to some life paths, right? Different than, ways that challenges me and similar to. And I think about it. I'm like, is it an acceptance thing? Like, do you just accept? And I'm not talking about you. Like, I don't have any grief. I'm not coming at it like that.
No,
I'm like, is there an acceptance? I hit you, brother. No, I'm going to wrap it out. But yeah, because there does seem to be a process to each life. And it does seem that the Three of Diamonds do eventually come through in different ways, but they're not like always intimate partner communicators, like for the ones I track in therapy and the ones I have in my life, like I don't see them coming in to be really in that intimacy, maybe because they haven't found that intimacy in themselves or they're happy in their own world. I don't really know what it is. It seems a little avoidant to me, but I also want to accept it. So I'm curious.
I think it can do with the nine of clubs, nine of spades, doubt, fear, not letting certain.
It's the 2 in Pluto, Rashad.
No, yeah, I was going to say that too. That's what I was getting to because of the Neptune.
Get to that's the one.
So just get to the point. But yeah, going from the nines to the twos, right? So nine of clubs, nine of spades, and you have a 2 of hearts. So what has happened, or what have you lost, or what type of pain, or what is it in your life?
Well, it's fear, I think.
It's fear and control. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to go there because in that too, there's a surrender of you, the me to the we. And if you don't have a me that you're able to feel solid in, you're going to not go and you're going to try to fear and control it because you don't want to be seen, right? Because like I said before, some of my closest relationships brought some real not pretty shadow stuff to my story that I would have never seen if it wasn't for the clarity and the good deal of friendship between us, that they'd say that Ace of Diamonds, one of my besties for 30, 40 years, he has really kicked my ass more than a few times. And he is so on point with what I need to hear. But boy, do I want to hit him and do I want to push him away? Do I want to go after his character and make him feel bad instead of me feel bad? Like for real, it hurts. You know what I mean? Like he'll cut me right, and he's funny as ever. He's so funny. But so I'll be laughing, but I'll be crying inside. I'm like, oh my God, what he just said is so true. That sucks. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't believe that's what I ended up doing. Like, golly, that's so not what I was trying to do. Like, that's a shadow. There's a part of me that needs some attention, because I'm like hurting people with some part of me. So as a person who wants to be in a good relationship, as the cosmic lesson of the Three of Diamonds, I really struggle to stay connected to them in a way that feels intimate and alive, because it seems like they don't bring that fully to the table. And maybe we'll go more into that next week in the 3, but it's just an interesting noticing, and I'm not mad at it. I'm really wanting to accept it and dance with it well.
Yeah, and that's why I say, do I self-sabotage? Am I rejecting the thing that I actually want? So I think there is a little fear within the relationships, letting go of yourself, of your power, not being able to express yourself properly, maybe, right? Or also misunderstanding or not trying to be overbearing as well onto other people, for me personally, so yeah, the 2 of hearts and the Ace of Spades, I think, are the culprits for the 3 of Diamonds as far as relationships and building relationships. Maybe being in your head too much, thinking that you're crazy, because why are you thinking about this person, this particular thing? Well, they called you anyway, so no, you're not crazy. And I can be overly optimistic. So my overly optimistic self, or the overly optimism that I had in the past, sometimes didn't work to my advantage or how I wanted it to. And it may have hindered me, those emotional sides of me bonding and creating those relationships, because
and also your ego, right? Your ego's idea of you, right? Because you were positive and you did what you were supposed to do, so you thought it was going to happen a certain way, and then it didn't. So then the ego takes on another level of defense, right? Because it feels like it has to protect itself from its own, fantasy.
Mm-hmm. There's a great poet, I think Joshua Bennett. He said the words, "I can't protect myself if I express myself." I can't, if I give you everything within me, my body, my soul, my mind, and my spirit, how am I protecting those innocent sides of me, or those sides that I don't want people to see or to share with people, So you're out in the world and building these relationships, and you're vulnerable to a certain extent. So building relationships takes work. It takes giving a part of yourself that sometimes you may want to keep hidden or keep to yourself, or you may not be as confident about, or you may be doubtful or fearful or traumatized maybe from your past experiences. So I definitely know there's growth, healing, and and
Well, that Jack of Hearts and that sacrifice part probably plays a part too, right? Because you can lose yourself in those things. Right?
Well, that and there's the mask with that. You'll never know really what they're going through. They're gonna hide it, because of fear. There's a fear there with the 2 in Pluto. The Jack of Hearts has a 2 in Pluto as well, just like the 3 of Diamonds has the 2 in Pluto. And I think there is fear very much rooted in, relationships and how am I going to be perceived? I'm too emotional. I'm too this. There's there's codependent energy in that 2 being in Pluto. The relationships give you a purpose, but you have to have purpose in your own standing. Your relationships can't be your only purpose. You have to be your purpose. And until you get to that point, your relationships are just going to keep doing the same damn thing until you get really seeing that it's, you're your purpose, not them, what they do or don't do, but you are your purpose. And I think having that 2 in Pluto, there is that essence of, the other person is where we find our purpose, but that is not, again, now you've given power.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, your purpose is to be your authentic expression and to make clear lines for each thing to grow as much clarity in its divinity, right? So that's part of your purpose.
But you're afraid. There's something.
You're afraid. You're afraid.
Yeah.
Well, we were taught to be afraid of connection, right? The land of separation has been upon us for a long time. There was safety in separation, right? Even the way the mind was able to regulate our whole being is because it helped us feel separate and different from it, right? Mm-hmm. To come into it is going to bring a certain activation of vulnerabilities, as you both say, right?
Mm-hmm. And also from giving up your power in relationships and business as well. I think for Three of Diamonds also, I think I had to look at when we were speaking about just be transparent for a lesson of the collective, right? My vulnerable moment, my growing moment, but we were speaking about doing something with Donna and I got defensive. And because she has this knowledge, this power. And I was like, well, I don't want, just to be her ownership and give everything to her. But I think that was an insecurity. And I have to look at myself as why am I not able to see that everyone can work together as a collective and there's no one is giving or has power, it's us working as a collective and as a group, So I think there is this thing for the Three of Diamonds where they do want to be the authoritarian of their work life and of their purpose, but being able to make sure that knowing that you are the burger, and not saying that everyone's like condiments, but the other things people on the sides are
the burger. Okay, I want to be ketchup.
Right, they're complementary, but it makes a meal. You can't have one without the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
So making sure you are aware that you do have value. Like we were saying earlier with the Ace of Spades, you are valuable. There is value, but if you don't know who you are or you don't see the value that you create, you always going to feel like you're compromising for someone else. But no, you're not compromising. You have power. You are here to do something great within this community, this collective, and you're not giving away the power to anyone. You're working together to create something greater. I
want to speak to that because there's a couple of things that came through. So one is that when I had to let go of my, I'll say sometimes obsessive nature with relationships, I had to put that obsession somewhere, right? So I became a spiritual partner to my business at the impetus of what Molly McCord said one day. And I was like, oh, that is my spiritual partner. And it wasn't my business to be rich. It was my business to bring my clarity or myself to the oneness, right? Like the way I overcame my inadequacy wasn't that I decided I was cool. I realized no one's inadequate. Why am I even thinking that? That's such garbage. Like, what do you mean inadequate? Where does that even come from, right? But so once I rewired that, I stood different. And then bringing in my spiritual partnership and making this my focus, whatever the things are that I feel are going to serve the way I want to express my full being, all of my other relationships got less attention and they got better.
Mm.
And they came attracted to what I was doing because they saw more clearly what I was doing, because there wasn't this like, can we be friends? Can we this, like holding on, like that energy that the emotions can bring when you're trying to like play house, even in business with people, right? So I think there's something to how we accept our part, like you said, the burger, the lettuce, whatever, the part of the meal that we are, and recognize that we want to have a full table like that, that it's not about like mine standing out. And the thing is, the way yours stands out is when you can play your instrument well and not be played by your insecurities. Like each one of our jobs is to play our instruments in the highest frequency. I'll end on this part where I remember Oprah one time saying in reflection that the most we can do is what we bring to the room.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like our vibe, like our vibration, our frequency. Like I can tell you as the character that's me, sometimes I don't even have to speak and things change in my frequency because of the way I walk and talk and be myself. Not because I'm trying to influence people, because your energy does influence people.
No, yeah, that's deep. Yeah, I think if you don't know who you are and you don't have the confidence, it's hard to see your value and what you bring to the table. So you're going to feel inadequate, or feeling like you come in with the half cup, you know, and everyone else cup is full. And that breeds greed, hate, jealousy, and envy as well. So you have to check yourself and check those things about yourself. That's growth, self development, you know, that and having, like we were saying, having a strong family, having a father, and those things help your progression. Having mentors in your life, the tour clubs, I think, needs mentors that should have other people around so they can have these conversations and see things from a different point of view as well. So, and we, not to jump far ahead and be announcing things, but we spoke about Father's Day, and the cards and relationship to that. And very much so, the kings, the queens are like fathers and those people that hold a great responsibility within their community or wherever they're at, or just a concept, as the tour clubs is a concept for the tour club. The King Clubs is a concept for the tour clubs or principle, you know, but in concept of being and standing within ownership of who you are and being that king or the master of whatever field that you lay in. And I think when you're a master or you've mastered something, your cup is full. You know who you are, and there's a personality that has developed that's unmovable for other people, and you can stand in a room full of other kings and not be affected or feel inadequate. So,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
so I think mastery and kingship and transforming into that king is just that. I think Aquarius states to the tour clubs all the time, they are the man's man, right? Because
Mhm.
they want to be that guy or that person. And so
Mhm.
they see that they have a king of clubs and they transform into a king, and they're supported by a king of hearts. So, right? So you have
Mhm.
all of this man's energy around you, or this authoritarian energy around you, but it takes strength, discipline, you know, resilience
Mhm.
to develop those things, and maybe the help of other people. But let me go through the comments, and we're like
Yeah,
out.
and then we should start to move. And if we could connect briefly after, that'd be great.
Okay, cool. So thank you all for coming. We appreciate everyone. I see the Queen of Hearts out of Lima. I don't know if I'm correct me if I got that wrong. I'm a substitute teacher. I'll be in there like Ken Pele. Hey, Ron. Hey, Ron. You mean Aaron? No, hey, Ron. That's your name. Hey, Ron. Not Aaron. So that is me. That's the sub. I put your name.
Thank
But
God for your humor.
thank everyone for coming. J Lo, the Jacket Clubs, Artemis, check her out. She does cardology, human design. She's all in relationship. A goddess Drea. Thank you for coming out. She also does astrology, human design, and cardology as well. Tarot reader, the reader of all things, the Ten of Clubs, which they should be, right? The Jack of Spades, the initiate, here to show you, initiate you into your life path, your destiny, maybe give you a lending ear, and to kind of help you out, right? But definitely the jack of all trades. So anyone else? Nika, the Two of Clubs, thank you for coming out. Loki, the Three of Clubs. I don't remember names, but I remember cards, you see.
If any Three of Clubs want to come in next week, if you know any Three of Clubs, they're welcome to come. So we talked about that. And Gina, look, I got a new one.
A new flower?
No, it's a giraffe.
It's a giraffe.
And this time I want to suggest that everybody has a vision. Like there's a certain precision that comes from everyone. So you have to hold your giraffe and see your vision. We need your precision, not this. We don't have anything. We need you to stand in your square, have the vision that you have there. So yeah, they didn't have any more flowers. I couldn't find them anywhere so far, but I did get some giraffes. I'll be sending one soon.
I love it.
Stand true. Not like that. Straight up. So thank you, everyone. Always a pleasure. I learned a lot.
No problem. We appreciate y'all. Someone said they had the Two of Clubs Pluto this year. So, so that's everything that we was kind of speaking on, fear, having that conversation, going with your intuition and not being scared to tell everybody what you see because you are talented in what you do and you are able to communicate things. I think that's one thing about the Jack of Spades is people going to think you crazy because you're going to see and recognize things that other people may not see or recognize. You're going to be able to see those underlining truths and those lessons that people have to tell or that you're supposed to tell because you're the teacher. You're right. The Ten of Clubs is a teacher. It's supposed to teach and give guidance. But if you're scared to speak and use your voice, the Ace of Spades eating you up, Jack of Spades eating you up, and feeling crazy, and you're not able to speak, how are you going to teach if you're not able to use your voice, right? So that Two of Clubs and Pluto, I pray for you. And
I had that this week. Listen. But I've been really, it actually made me really sit with, my own, like how I was hearing things, how I was processing things, and rather just responding, because I can definitely respond. I was able to kind of more sit with stuff, and I'm grateful because it really did give me a new way to approach things. Because I think my reward card is the Ace of Diamonds. So, and my week ends today. My new week starts on Monday. And so it was really, it is kind of gives you I like how that ace showed up with the two, because it once you really, see, it starts with you and how you really do take that in and think about things. And I've had a lot of different situations show up to show me how I look at things, how I think about things, how things have kind of been, placed or happened in my life. And again, the communication, because at the beginning of the week, it was like, oh no, let's slow down. Like, let's back it up a little bit, because this can be very intense. I have Mars and Gemini, so my words can pierce. So I was very mindful of that. But then even deeper than that, just in a week, so I can imagine having this for a year, is I had to see, where is it coming from? Where is that, like, oh, wait a minute, where's that? What is that? Why am I responding this way? Why am I thinking, like, so it more than just, when you conversate, where's it? Because Pluto is coming from the depths of hell. Pluto is coming from the generations, the pain,
the long running stories. And so
right.
To
and
me,
so
also, don't hesitate to talk to yourself. Don't hesitate to go to a mirror and talk to yourself and, like,
you're your best
really
counselor.
Figure it out. Because I'm serious. Like, even when, you think about these screens, like, in a way, I feel like doing these things, seeing myself, I'm talking to myself. Like, you're all sitting here, but it's like, move it through. Because the thing is, sometimes the reason that we don't realize where it comes from is because we just got so used to wearing it. Like, oh yeah, there's always been a hole in my sock. I got used to there being a hole in my sock. I don't even think about the hole in my sock anymore. But man, you put on a different sock and realize how it feels to not have your toes stick out of your sock. It's kind of nice, right? But you have to recognize that you've been willing to walk with this hole in your sock and feel a certain type of vulnerability that may not even be true anymore, but it was passed down the pipe. So I think that's what that Two of Clubs is about. Like you said, the depths of some of what we carry that we no longer want to carry because we're only recycling it by carrying it. We're not honoring it, right? We used to think it was a loyalty and an honor, like, I'll carry your pain. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not what it is. I went to a Scottish Highlands games where men were wearing all kilts and everybody was playing sports and stuff. It was so goofy, so fun. But we went to go buy a kilt, and the guy told us about the different prints of it, and that there was this one reddish print. He says they did a lot of damage. Like, they did some really harsh things, that band. I'm not saying you can't, but I'm just wanting you to know this one was made, and I think it was 2020, and it's the brand of peace. Like, it's the Scottish plaid that we're all one, right? So I think a lot of things are starting to come to, like, how do we unify around something? Because when you're in that separate container of the people you came from who cut off people's heads or whatever you want to say, you feel like you got to carry that. But when we let all that go, that grieving, good morning, the grieving that needs to happen, that could potentially support new eyes, new ears, and new ways to come into things, right? Because as long as we carry it, we're in a skew, we're in a distortion, right? That's just what happens. So yeah, blah, blah, blah. I know we're leaving.
I think the key is, though, is you have to, like, you can't, I think we talk a lot about gotta let it go, which I get. But at the same time, if you don't even know where it's coming from, if you're not even aware that this has been something within you before you, how can you let something go that you're not even aware of? So the first thing that has to recognize is that you're even carrying it, that you're even thinking this way, that you're even, communicating this way. Because if I talked to my brother this week and my dad, and so I've had a lot of family interactions, and it's very telling to see things, and you're starting to, like, connect, like, oh, this is where that comes from. So it's hard to let go of something if you don't even know you have it. Right. I think that's a big awareness that happens with this energy. Is you start to, and relationships are what show you, oh, this is why I think this way. This is why I respond this way, because that's how they responded. That's how they thought. But then it goes deeper than that. Where did it come from them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They didn't just wake up one. That's not just how it showed up for them. So it's deep rooted. And that's what Pluto teaches you, is that it comes so far beyond you. And until you, but at the same time, when you become aware of it, then you can say, you know what, it stops with me. Because I don't want to do this anymore. If it's not good for me, if it's not healthy, if it's communicating this way or being in relationships this way has not been productive and it's productive in itself because you learn. But if you aren't aware, you're going to continuously repeat the same things through different people, through different scenarios, until eventually you're like, you know what, I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired.
Yeah, I think we're going to get into that more as we build, right?
You have to find where it comes from. It's not just let it go if you don't even know where it's from. So finding the root of that is key.
Yeah, that's that subconscious, the generational thing that we were speaking about. I forgot which card did we speak? Maybe the nine of hearts, maybe, or 10. I'm not exactly sure. But we're talking about generational breaking and karmas, and those things. But those things that we build up subconsciously that we're not totally aware of, and the death and rebirth, as you were saying, like. A great pastor once said, at the end of the day got to end. So you have to let it go and let yesterday live in yesterday and move on to tomorrow. I think that's what great pastor Glorilla was saying. At the end of the day got to end. So it's a death and a rebirth.
He is so the preacher and the pastor. Our Professor Rashad, I tell you, when the spiritual man comes to his full form, man, I can't wait to see his outfits and hear his preach.
And just to kind of like top it, because I realize it's 1:00. The Two of Clubs is crowned by the Nine of Hearts. So, you can release a thing. Like, again, these things are in your bloodline, your generations, your ancestors. When you become aware of it, you can't get to take that off. Like, it's not, it may be in you, but it's not of you. You can release it. Like, I think that's a big part of that Nine of Hearts, is not holding on to the things, the beliefs that just don't serve your connection to remember, it transforms into the King of Spades. So you're co-creating your life, but who are you co-creating it with? What happened or what you want? You know what I mean? And I think that's where you have to kind of come to an awareness of releasing the things that don't serve you, You know, they're part of you. They were meant to, you know, they happen, but they don't have to continue if you don't want them to. If they're not good for you, if they're not conducive to the life that you desire and want, you get to let that go. You don't have to wear it anymore. And I think that too, with that 6 in Pluto, you start to like really start to see, and you're like, you know what? That's not for me anymore. So let me take this off. Let me shed this, because that's a big part of those 9s. It doesn't serve me anymore. Why do I have to continue? Why do I have to keep taking it with me? I can just let this go.
But then you go into the 3 where you have the undecided values, and that's where we're going to go next week, right? Because it's those undecided values. Because once you recognize whatever those foundation pieces of pain that we built on aren't the truth, you need to decide how you're going to establish values and what is true for you. And that's where having spiritual practices and times to be still helps you listen to the part of you that can help regulate your will. Because as long as you continue to allow the pattern to play on you, you're not playing your instrument, you're being played.
I think that's the reason once Nina speaks about the 3 of diamonds as the card of rituals, because you start to see that to let go of things, to recreate things, you need a new ritual. You need something new to replace the old patterns, the old things that have taken over your life in some type of way. So yeah, so there's this rebirth, this freshness of creating a new routine, creating a new thought process and a new story or new pattern in order for you to heal, to seek counseling so you can reprogram yourself in a different way. But we're at 2 hours. We're going to head out. Thank you all for so much. Read one last comment. Nika says she's outside grounding. Don't let us stop you from grounding. You may have to throw that phone to the other side of the field so you can make sure you're getting all the energy and not disrupting. You know, I think these phones are like viruses. They're disrupting our energy field sometimes. Mm-hmm. But thank you all for coming. Someone said I must have needed to become extremely aware, having it as my Mars and birthing one, speaking about the 2 of Clubs, and one that has it as her Venus. I love that was able to learn the cards and continue learning. So thank you all for exploring these secrets and these things with us as well. What does the Ace of Spades and the King of Hearts mean under the 2 of Clubs card? I also noticed 2 of Clubs under the King of Hearts. Okay. Unfortunately, we're about to end, but
listen, she'll find out, because we talked about a lot of those different things.
And my class starts next week too. If anybody's interested in learning the cards, next Saturday starts my 8-week course. You just email me or message me through my Instagram page at Guided by the Cards, or guidedbythecards@gmail.com is my email. My 8-week course starts next Saturday. It'll be on Zoom. It'll be recorded. It's a deep dive, very interactive. We look at the plates. You're gonna, you'll understand what the 2 of Clubs and the 9 of Spades are in those boxes, and the challenging karma card, supporting karma card, and how to really decipher all of that. So I'm really excited. It'll be my second time around with this course. So if you have any questions, just reach out. It'll be fun.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you. Yeah, and we have coming up next month a family card table where we're going to talk more specifically about dynamics within the families that all of this information goes into, and start to bring metaphysics in a bigger touching circles, so that we can see how everything connects. But we're growing great, and we hope you are too. And thanks, you guys. I always appreciate our time.
No problem. So I guess we'll end it with our complimentary clip. I really want this to be the tagline.
Gina, what would have happened to Rashad if you were his sister? That perfect guy.
We'd be in a lot of trouble. My brother's a 3. What? Come on,
yeah,
we're a bunch of freaking goofballs. It's insane.
Well, later. Thank you all.
You couldn't do it.
Go back to watch it.